Hey guys, the last video that I made got a pretty good response. I had a few people say that they actually watched it all the way through. So that gives me a little bit of confidence to know that if I keep doing it, hopefully more people will tune in for the entire video. Today I think I want to sort of talk about a story and maybe just give a bit more background in terms of how I was before coaching. Because I think, and since I've started, I've really sort of kept my personal life pretty separate. I don't think the reason why I'm doing these is because I want to find a way to sort of share a bit more about myself without it being just purely fitness related. Yeah, like I was told by quite a few clients that they don't really know who I am, and even other people, just friends and stuff, that don't really know who I am as a person beyond the fitness stuff. So this is my way of trying to share stories in hopes that maybe it resonates with someone out there who watches this and helps you sort of navigate through whatever it is that you're going through as well. So today I want to sort of talk about the topic of partying. The reason why is because a lot of the guys that I work with, they're usually around that sort of 24 to 35 range. Majority of them on the younger side, and obviously when you're at that age, going out drinking and stuff, that's still a very big part of the social norm. And yeah, I think the easiest way to say this is before I started coaching, I was someone who was very much into the partying scene. I would drink very often. I would party to the AMs very often. Go out to raves, and just do typical stuff like that. And look, it was a lot of fun. Like, it was a lot of fun. I'm not someone who says I hate drinking. I'm not someone who says I hate partying, right? I hate the feelings afterwards. I hate the lack of productivity, the lack of mental focus. That's the only part that I hate. I love going out on a Friday night with my close mates and having a few drinks, and sitting around, like, sort of, eating together, drinking together, having a laugh. Like, that's a lot of fun to me. And like, the thing that I'm not a huge fan of is pretending like it isn't, right? Because pretending like it isn't, it will be me putting on a facade. You get a lot of coaches who will say, "Oh, fucking, I hate that life. I hate this, I hate that." Like, either they were probably just never in it, or they weren't around friends that actually made it enjoyable. Because I have a great time with all my mates every time we go out. Even now, I go out. Even just the frequency is a lot less. But it doesn't mean it's changed anything since I started becoming a fitness professional in a way. I still very much enjoy the old things that I used to do. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up as a topic is because I think it's important that, firstly, the clients that watch this, but also anyone who may decide to work with me down the line. I am not against people enjoying themselves. It will be hypocritical of me to have been someone who liked to, drink often, and be hungover the next day and stuff like that. No, I don't like being hungover, sorry. Someone who enjoyed drinking often to the point where they were hungover the next day and, and were a bum around for a few days. It would be hypocritical of me to tell someone that, it's a shit lifestyle and stuff like that. Because I was in it for multiple years. I would say like 4, 5, maybe even 6 years. It was exactly what my lifestyle was like. And the reason why I'm sharing this now is because I'm going to share a story which led me to the point where I realized this can't keep happening. And yeah, like, I would go out to clubs, I would drink, I would go out to karaoke, I'd go to raves. And again, I'm not saying that I don't do it now. It's just the frequency has been dramatically dropped down. But yeah, like I said, the reason why I think this is important to share is because you'll get a lot of coaches or like people who are in great shape, and you'll see them and you'll think that, and these guys have given up everything, giving up all the drinking, giving up all the partying and stuff like that. And it often looks like a boring lifestyle in a way to many. It looks like a boring lifestyle to many to basically be fitness oriented, because you're sort of eating the same foods. You're sort of like, your routine is sort of waking up, sleeping early, waking up early, going to the gym, eating right, going to work. That's sort of the routine that people end up finding themselves when they become very indulgent to the fitness life. And like, for me, it's still quite difficult to say no to a lot of things. So I've noticed that I just can't put myself in the situations. And fortunately enough, I have friends who understand why I do that. They understand, like, I'm trying to do something more, and there's no pressure, there's no social pressure. When I choose to, like, do something, it's because I've chosen to do it. It's not because I feel pressure to do it. Like, not a single one of my close mates have ever made me feel like I'm outcasted because I don't want to drink anymore. I don't want to drink when they drink, for example. And so, like, I'm very fortunate in that regard, because I know a lot of people who don't have that luxury, right? Don't have a friendship group that understands what they're trying to do. They'll have friends that fucking make fun of them for wanting to get in shape. They'll have friends who make fun of them wanting to hustle, wanting to, spend the night working. and they don't understand it. And like, that sucks to me. Like, I would rather just not have any friends if that was the case. I would rather not have any friends than have friends who are fucking absolute idiots and don't understand when someone's trying to better themselves. I've been coaching for almost 4 years now. And like, there have been times where, I still feel like I miss the idea of wanting to go out with friends and party and stuff like that. So every now and again, it does happen. I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say, I never go out anymore, I never drink anymore, I never eat off, like just random stuff like that, that people would typically think that their coach should be like perfect. I actually had another coach tell me that he thinks I come across like I'm perfect when it comes to like training and stuff. I had a coach tell me like, you don't really share any flaws that you have. Well, one of the flaws I have is like, when I do get in that mood of wanting to go out and drink and party and stuff, it ends up going a bit out of hand. Like, it ends up sort of dragging out for more than a week, more than 2 weeks, and sometimes it's like multiple weeks in a row that ends up falling back into old habit because it's sort of, that was sort of the lifestyle that I was in prior. And because I wasn't doing it for so long, it's almost like I missed it. I missed that sort of like doing that with my friends all the time. And then, yeah, sometimes I catch myself in these phases where it happens continuously. And that's where the problem is. And so I want to sort of help you guys understand, like, you see someone who's got their fitness game locked in, for example. A lot of these guys, it's not that they are different. It's not that they don't get their own temptations. It's not that, they don't get their own, in their own temptations to want to go out, to want to eat out, to want to drink, do things that everyone else is doing. It's not that they just magically stop getting that urge to. Because there are weekends where I'll get invited out and, I've just had a long day at work and I want to go do that. But I know I have calls the next day. I know I have check-ins the next day. And so I choose not to. But even if I didn't, it's like, okay, does this sort of align with where I want to go? And sometimes it doesn't. And I'll make that decision to say no. I still get that feeling like I'm missing out. I still sort of sit at home like, fuck, I sort of do want to go out now. I see my friends having a great time. I do feel like I'm missing out on making memories with them. And that still happens a lot. But I think the common misconception is like, people who are focusing on their health, focusing on their careers and stuff, they're just happy to give everything up, and it's like, and all of a sudden they don't get those temptations, they don't get those urges, their preferences change. Like, that's not really true. I know a lot of people who are in great shape who still get the same feelings. They still find themselves in certain phases where they are, doing things that don't really align with where they're trying to go anymore, but they find that they catch themselves sort of being stuck in that phase for a few weeks. And this is, like I said, this happens with me as well. Now, lucky enough, I don't let it drag out to the point where it affects my work. I don't let it drag out to the point where I start skipping sessions. That's a big plus on my side, which I'm very grateful for. Like, I still find ways to, whether it's pushing my sessions forward, whether it's, making sure that I just service my clients, I'll make sure that gets done. Because at the end of the day, I have people depending on me. I have goals that I need to hit beyond just that, enjoying myself. And so that was a big ramble, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say, because now I'm going to sort of share the story that led me to the point where I realized I can't keep doing this silly stuff anymore. Basically, there was a period of my life where I was going out every single weekend and partying till the early AMs. Right? Still continuously drinking up, staying at karaoke, staying at the club. So sort of like every single weekend, that was a sort of norm. And like, this wasn't even this was way before I started coaching, or like as I approached my coaching career, right? I would just, even if it was just going to a house and drinking up there, that's sort of where it led to as well. And then it ends up being a late one. Right? And then it ends up making silly decisions, doing dumb shit. And looking back now, although like I can look back and laugh on it a little bit because of how silly it was, it's not something I would go back to undo. But at the same time, I definitely feel like I could have been a lot more responsible, because I don't think that contributed to who I am now a lot. I don't think those nights, I think I could have learnt the same lessons without having to go through those sort of silly periods. And one very big one that I remember clearly was when I was still working at Commonwealth Bank. There was a time where I was working at the bank, and I had to drive from the city, like sort of this route that I'm driving now. I would drive into the city and park at Crown for the whole day, and I'd work my 8-hour shift. And there were numerous occasions where I would rock up to my shift on like a Thursday hungover, because I would be partying on the weekday, because like the bank work started at 12 p.m. I would finish at like 7 o'clock, for example, and then I would go see my mates after, and then one thing leads to another, and things get out of hand. Yeah, it was a common occurrence. I would show up to work barely scraping through. I called in sick a lot more than what I would like to admit. And there were times where I just had to bullshit my way to not show up, and it was just terrible. Yeah, I was a fucking shocking worker. I think it also obviously stemmed from the idea that I just didn't want to apply myself to that field. Like I said in the last video, it was never something that I wanted to pursue. So I think I had no purpose and had no reason to even want to wake up early and try and be excited to show up. Yeah, this was a very common occurrence where I would be partying the night before to the AMs, wake up on like a few hours sleep, and then try to drive to work and barely scrape through the shift. And really just hating my life, going home, sleeping like fucking 12 hours, and then redoing it again. And this, I'm telling you, this was happening very often as well. Then the worst thing that ever happened during this lifestyle and during this phase, there was a day where I had basically drank and partied until I think it was like 5 a.m. Basically, the sun was up. 5 a.m. the sun was up. My shift was a little bit later in the afternoon. I can't remember what time. Maybe it was still 12. But I partied until I getting home at 5 a.m. The sun was up. You hear the birds chirping. And I was basically driving, I drove home, and I knew I had to wake up in a few hours. And I was like, I can't miss another, like I fucking skipped so many shifts already. I can't keep calling in sick, because now it's clearly bullshit. So, I had to make it to work. So I managed to sleep for maybe 2-3 hours. I got up, still groggy as fuck, right? And then I decided to drive to work. As dumb as that sounds, I decided to drive to work. I'm not saying anyone should ever do this. I drove to work, right? It's a 35-minute drive, and around that time, maybe 40 minutes because there's a little bit of traffic on the freeway. And I remember being so tired, my eyes were closing at the wheel. Now, I'm someone who has had a history of sleeping at the wheel. Like, I've done it a lot because I used to have very poor sleeping habits as well. I would sleep like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. regularly on a daily basis, and wake up like on like 6-7 hours sleep as well, and then and be super tired. And I would always be falling asleep at the wheel, like sort of dozing off. And lucky enough, no serious accidents ever happened. Lucky enough, but this happened so much to the point where I was genuinely concerned that one day I would crash. That was when I was younger, when I was driving, but this one was because of the night before. Right, so I was driving on the freeway, it's going around 80, and I was sort of dozing off, and I was driving into the West Gate basically, and then I'm trying to snap out of it, to the point I had to sort of splash water on my face and then pull the window down. All of a sudden, I feel the car hit into something. I'm like, fuck, and obviously that jolts me up. I'm like, fuck, I just hit something, and panicking, and I realized I hit the taxi next to me, in the lane next to me, because I had fallen asleep and swerved into him, and this was going at like 80. Right, on the freeway. There's nowhere to pull over, right? Nowhere to pull over. And I swerved into him, I fucking knocked it pretty hard. I could see him had to like quickly stop, and then like he had to quickly brake because he was afraid I was still swerving into him. And then I was basically in the other lane, halfway in the lane. I had to quickly swerve back and then like fucking straighten up and try to start driving properly again. Right? And this happened, and there was nowhere to stop. And I had to keep driving, and I started panicking. I was like, fuck, I just really messed up. And lucky, the taxi kept driving, and I tried to find someone to slow down, and I couldn't, because it was like just the West Gate, so I had to keep driving. And we drove for a solid, I would say, 8-10 minutes, where he was just on my ass, and then we had to pull over, and he was fuming, he was furious. He was like, what the fuck, how do you do that? And unfortunately enough, he could actually tell that I was out of it. He could actually see in my face that he was like, are you okay? He was like, he could tell that I was completely out of it, panicking, because I thought I had hurt him, and I'd done something like that that could have ended my life, or like ended his one. And then he actually calmed down, and he was like, it's okay. Don't worry. It's not too bad. Lucky no one was hurt. Just give me your details, and let's talk a bit later when you've calmed down, and we can sort of just figure out where to go from here. And I just kept apologizing. Because like, it's not even about me at that point. It was to a point where I could have hurt someone else. And what if he had a family? What if he had, it sounds like, it might sound like I'm exaggerating it, but in that moment, that's how I really felt. I don't think I'm exaggerating, to be honest, because going 80 and like actually hitting into someone, there is a lot of risk, a lot of risk in that sort of scenario. And I was more thinking like, what if I had done something that would have lived with me the rest of my life? Like, this guy could have He couldn't, like, he might not be able to work anymore. He might have to, what if he got injured and then he couldn't look after his family? This is all the stuff that was running through my mind, and it all stemmed from me being an idiot. Me knowing I had work and me still choosing to, stay up late, party late, and then try to even rock up to work, knowing I was very, like, it would be irresponsible of me to even try to get to work. Knowing that, I still did it anyway. And then finally, it bit me in the ass where I could have hurt someone else, I could have hurt myself. Then I started thinking, what would have happened if something had happened and my parents had found out? Like, how silly and how dumb would that have been of me to do this? And like, the reason why it would have happened was because I had no self-control and I did not take responsibility for my actions. And since that happened, it changed my perspective immediately, right? Even if I have a little bit to drink, I will always say no to drink. I will always say no to driving, right? Even if I feel like I'm okay, I will always say no, because it's not about me anymore. It's about how it's going to affect. To me now, the idea of even risking my life or risking a passenger side or hurting someone else, it's not worth me saving that money. I'd rather just not take that risk whatsoever. But even then, that whole thing was a big eye opener for me. I was like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you actually doing? You're drinking up, you're working some shitty job, you're waking up at fucking random times in the day, you're sleeping late, you're fucking bum. And that's sort of where I realized, like, something needs to change. And something needs to change now and very quickly. And that's when I started to straighten up a little bit more. Now, obviously that wasn't like immediately, right? Again, I'm not saying it's easy to change a lot of ways. I'm not saying it's like that, like I just all of a sudden stopped enjoying the same habits that led to that point before. What I'm saying is I made that conscious decision, and it made me realize if I keep going down this route, something bad's going to happen, right? So something bad's going to happen where it's either I do something dumb, I hurt myself, or I hurt someone else. So, like, I'm not saying that I'm not gonna make this whole fucking sob story about me having like, it's not an addiction and shit like that. It's not what I'm saying at all, by the way. If anyone interprets this video that way, all I'm saying is, like, that whole lifestyle that I was in, I understand it. I understand I understand how it feels to want to always go out with your mates. I understand how it feels to, have a good time and not want to worry about things, not want to stress out anymore. You want to relax. You want to be able to, enjoy yourself and have fun in your 20s and do all that stuff. I understand that, and that's why I think hopefully sharing the story is important. Like, you shouldn't need to wait until something like that happens where you're like, oh, something really needs to change. You shouldn't have to wait until you end up in hospital. You shouldn't have to wait until you hurt someone or you hurt yourself. You shouldn't have to wait until you have an actual scare to realize maybe I could be a little bit more responsible. Maybe things could be a little bit different here, right? That's what the point of this video is. And to also just give you some insight into the fact that, like, I am still, even though, like, I love my fitness and I love fitness and stuff, I've never claimed to be someone who has not had who has not enjoyed the lifestyle that was opposite to what healthy living is, right? Even now, like I said, I still do have those times where I really do enjoy it. I do miss it. I do miss having those nights out with my friends and, waking up the next day and regretting some decisions. Like, that's as dumb as that sounds. Like, it's that feeling of just, it's for me, it's that sort of feeling of, like, being young again and sort of being with my friends again, which now, as everyone gets older, as everyone gets older, our goals change, our priorities change. People are settling down, they have kids, they have careers that they're excelling at. A lot of things changed, and so, like, that's sort of where I'm at the moment. It's like, I know where I'm going. I know what I need to do. And sometimes it's, like, hard to let go of a completely old you to be able to be a better you. And so what I want you guys to understand is, like, if you're sort of in that phase right now where you're trying to be better, you're trying to do things differently, you're trying to live a different life, but things keep pulling you back, you have to make that decision to do it properly. Because, like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen until you make that decision to. You can't be half in and half out with a lot of this stuff, right? I've heavily reduced things to the point where, I'll say no to a lot more things than I'd like to say yes to, and a lot of my, sorry, I just got a little bit shy because this guy's next to me. Yeah, it got to a point where I think a lot of my friends also know You know, and they also know, like, they'll ask me, but I'll say no. And a lot of them will still ask anyway, but a lot of them also don't ask because they know what the answer will typically be. And it's not that they are against it or anything like that. They respect that decision. I'd like to think that they respect that decision. And I think if you need to make that, you'll need to sort of start putting your foot down if you're still so stuck in that party lifestyle and you can't seem to get out of it. Because it's not gonna magically stop until something happens and scares you the fuck out of it. You know what I mean? Or like you have a purpose and drive so high that it makes that seem a lot more insignificant than like the long-term benefit that you'd get from saying no to a lot more things. Yeah, for me now, if I have an opportunity to take on 3 more clients over the weekend, that means I ain't going out, and I'm not going out on the Friday. Yeah, I'm staying in. Yeah, and if I know I can hit a PR on the Monday, I'm gonna avoid messing that up, because to me right now, my priority is now I want to excel, I want to level up, I want to be able to hit my PRs, I want to be able to level up the business, I want to help more people, and that's sort of where my priority is. Yeah, and so I think it just comes down to, like, you need to put your foot down and really decide what is important to you. Because for a large part of my teens and when I was in my early 20s, what was more important to me was having fun. Having fun was a lot more important to me, and be able to make memories with my friends and, you know, and be with them and celebrate with them the big events that are happening. That was my priority, right? But then as I got older, I started realizing that that priority got dropped further and further down as I started building my momentum, as I really put my foot down and said, you know, I want to be different. I want to live a life that is going to be different to that. And so I decided to make changes. I decided to hold my ground, say no to more things. I decided to be selective with who I spend my time with. I decided to not let people peer pressure me anymore. Yeah, I would say that it really did start rolling from a few events that happened not that long ago, where I really just switched on and be like, nah, things need to change now. The reason why I'm sharing this is because you shouldn't have to wait until that happens. Make that decision now. So like, because who knows what will happen when that does happen. If things had ended up worse, I probably wouldn't, like, things might have been very different now. You know, I mean, who knows if I would have kept training? Who knows if I would have pursued online coaching? But fortunately enough, that incident and some other things that had happened led up to this point where I made that decision of who I want to be. But also keep in mind, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I still slip up. I still have nights and weeks where I do silly shit and do dumb shit. You know, and that's the reason why I'm trying to share this with you guys today. I want people to sort of see, you know, that it's just because I'm a coach or just because, you know, you see a coach doesn't mean they don't have bad habits themselves. We're not perfect. You know, we have the same urges, same temptations, but at the end of the day, you just need to sort of decide where your priorities are at. You know, and it's okay to have fun every now and again. It's okay to, you know, feel like you're missing out. But as long as you know you're putting your effort and time into something that's more productive and something that actually boosts you forward and, you know, and levels you up and creates the person that you want to be and creates the life that you want to live long term, that's when it's, you know, that's when that's way more important to me now than, you know, in the fun I had when I was younger. But even now, you know, like I keep saying, like, I still celebrate things, guys. Like, if I have a really good month, I'm gonna invite my friends out. I'm like, hey, let's go have some fun. If I finish off the year strong, I'm gonna have some fun. I'm not against that lifestyle. The only time I'm against it is if you have nothing else going on, is if nothing else is productive in your life. If that's all you look forward to, you hate the job that you're at, you hate the partner you're with, you hate the friends you're around, you know, and you hate waking up, and then you escape every single weekend because that's the only thing that you have going on in your life. That's the only time that I'm against it. But if you are really focused with everything else that you're doing, and you have some fun once every other week, you know, and once every now and again, there is nothing wrong with that in my eyes, nothing at all. And I'm not going to be all these fucking hyper motivational guys who are like, you're fucking, you know, you're a loser if you drink and stuff. It's for me. Yeah, it would be cool if we just never did it again. If everyone would just switch on all the time. But we all have different priorities. At some point, I'm gonna phase all of it out. Because right now, I can feel myself building momentum. I feel it. Like, it's every single month, I'm getting better with things I'm doing. Every single year, I'm progressing. You know, I'm seeing changes. I'm liking the lifestyle that I'm living. And, you know, the more opportunities come my way, the more reason I have to give it, like, phase it out entirely. And when that time comes, then I'll make another video and talk about that. But for now, it's like, You know, and just because I'm a coach now, and just because, you know, I post myself training, I post all this, you know, maybe you see it as motivational stuff, educational stuff as well. It doesn't mean I don't have my own bad habits that I'm trying to kick as well. I'm trying to work on as well. I'm trying to minimize as well. We're all on our own paths and our own journeys and have our own goals and priorities. It's important you understand what yours is, because what you don't want to do is be stuck in a lifestyle that does not serve you for way too long, because you have not spent the time to sit down and figure out what needs to change, and then something terrible happens, and then who knows, maybe it's too late when that happens. That will be a fucking terrible feeling. You'd rather prevent rather than cure, prevent rather than treat, right? So hopefully that helps someone out there today who watches this entirely through. Hopefully you can sort of, you know, maybe you can resonate with this a bit if you sort of see yourself in that scene and that lifestyle right now. Thanks again for, you know, for sitting through this. I hope you guys have a great week. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.